Welcome to CBS Easy.
Okay, Class 10, you've got exams coming up, and we need to talk about one of the weirdest, funniest plays you'll ever read. Seriously, could a book of nursery rhymes actually stop an alien invasion? Well, in the book that saved the Earth, that's exactly what goes down. So, let's break this whole thing apart, figure out what makes these Martians tick, and get you totally prepped for any question they can throw at you. Here's the plan. We'll start with a quick history lesson from the year 2450. Then we're going to meet the stars of the show, the mighty Martian morons. You'll see their first big mistake, the Great Sandwich Blunder. Yes, you heard that right. After that, we'll dive into how they try to decode some terrifying rhymes. And, of course, we'll finish up with your final exam revision, so you know exactly what to focus on. Ready? Let's do this. All right, first things first, let's set the stage. Imagine this. It's the 25th century. We're in a museum, and a historian is about to tell us a story about something really strange that happened way back in 2040, an attempted invasion from Mars. And the historian starts with this incredible line. Think about it. The 20th century was called the era of the book. But the wildest thing a book ever did, it saved the entire planet. Not armies, not superweapons, a book. So right away you're asking yourself, how on earth did that happen? That's the big question that drives this whole story. Okay, now it's time to meet the invaders. And let me tell you, they are something else. We're talking about the mighty Martian morons, and you're about to see why they earned that title. So the comedy in this play really comes down to two key characters. First, you've got the big boss, Think Tank. He's the commander-in-chief, and he has this massive head he calls his balloon brain. His ego, even bigger. But then, on the other hand, you have his apprentice, Noodle. Noodle's actually the smart one here. He's intelligent, he's humble, he pays attention. This whole setup is just perfect, right? The arrogant fool in charge and the quiet, brilliant guy who works for him. This difference is what fuels pretty much every funny moment in the play. And where do these mighty invaders land? Not in a military base, not in a capital city, but in a library, and they are completely clueless. Imagine you're them. You walk into this room filled with thousands and thousands of these weird identical objects, and you have absolutely no idea what they are. That's where our crew finds themselves, totally baffled. This brings us to the first major blunder. I mean, it's a classic. They're all staring at a book, completely confused, so naturally they turn to their leader, the all-knowing think tank, to tell them what it is. And their guesses are just, wow. Is it a hat? Maybe some kind of storage container? They're throwing out these wild ideas. They are so far off the mark, it's hilarious. They're completely stumped, so all eyes are on Think Tank for the big reveal. And so, the mighty Think Tank, with all the confidence in the universe, announces his grand discovery. He tells them that the object is a sandwich. Yep, a sandwich. He says the covers are the bread, and the pages are, the filling. And his crew just buys it because he's the boss. It's a perfect example of his arrogance. He'd rather make up something ridiculous than admit he doesn't know. But of course, a great scientific theory needs to be tested, right? So Think Tank orders them to eat the communications sandwich. And after a bit of back and forth, poor Sergeant Oop gets the honor. He has to take a bite for the glory of Mars. And what's his verdict? It tastes like Martian dust. Definitely not the delicious Earth food he was expecting. And this is where Noodle, the smart apprentice, steps in. He does it very carefully, of course. First, when Think Tank says they're for eating, Noodle gently suggests, sir, perhaps they're for communication? And when Think Tank thinks they're for listening to, Noodle again corrects him, saying they're probably for watching, reading. And what does Think Tank do both times? He immediately goes, yes, that's what I was about to say. A brilliant idea that I just had. He steals all the credit. It just shows you how his ego is completely out of control. Okay, so the sandwich incident was pretty funny, but things are about to get even crazier. Now that they've figured out that books are for watching, Think Tank orders his crew to decode one, and the super secret complex Earth document they happen to pick up, it's a book of nursery rhymes, Mother Goose. Now, to crack this incredibly advanced code, Think Tank has a brilliant plan. He makes his crew take intelligence vitamins. And hey, it works. Suddenly they can read the words. The problem is they can understand the words, but they have absolutely no idea what they mean. They have zero context. And this is a perfect example of how a little bit of knowledge can be a very, very dangerous thing. So the crew starts transcribing the first rhyme. Mistress Mary, quite contrary, how does your garden grow? With cockleshells and silver bells. Sounds pretty harmless to us, right? But to the paranoid ears of Think Tank, this is not a sweet little rhyme. Oh no. He completely panics. His interpretation? Cockleshells and silver bells? He's convinced Earthlings are growing high explosives and rare metals right in their backyards. He thinks there's some kind of super miners. He's so freaked out that he immediately orders the invasion to be put on hold. But they press on. The next rhyme they find is, "Hey diddle diddle, the cat and the fiddle, the cow jumped over the moon." I mean, come on. A cat playing a violin? A cow literally jumping over the moon? There's no way anyone could take this seriously as a threat, right? Wrong. Think Tank is terrified. He's absolutely convinced that Earth's animals have advanced space technology. He pictures millions of cows being launched into space for an interplanetary attack. Can you imagine? The invasion alert level just went through the roof. And then comes the final nail in the coffin. The rhyme that ends it all. It's the one about Humpty Dumpty. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. But this time, it's not just the words. This time, there's a picture. So Sergeant Oop holds the book up so Think Tank can see it on his monitor. And Think Tank is just staring at this picture of a big, round, egg-shaped guy. And something clicks. You can just imagine the look of pure horror on his face as he realizes who this looks like. He completely loses it. He screams, "It's me! It's my great and mighty balloon brain!" He thinks Humpty Dumpty is him, and that the rhyme is a prophecy that the humans are coming to get him. He thinks it's not a Martian invasion of Earth, but an Earthling invasion of Mars. That's it. Invasion canceled. He orders a full retreat, tells everyone to get out of there, and flees in terror. Okay, what a story, right? So funny. But now let's switch gears and get you ready for the exam. This is the stuff you absolutely need to know for those 5-mark questions. Let's lock it in. One of the most common questions you'll get is a character comparison between Think Tank and Noodle. It's pretty straightforward. Think Tank is all about fake intelligence, being arrogant, and ruling by making people scared. He's the perfect example of how dangerous a little bit of knowledge can be. Noodle, on the other hand, is the real deal. He's genuinely smart, wise, and practical. In the end, Think Tank runs away in fear, while Noodle actually becomes the new ruler. That pretty much says it all. All right, let's talk themes. These are your key words for longer answers. First, you've got pride comes before a fall. I mean, that's Think Tank in a nutshell. Then there's appearance versus reality. Nothing is what it seems to the Martians. Obviously, the dangers of half-knowledge is huge. Think Tank reads words but has no clue what they mean. And of course, wisdom isn't the same as rank. The apprentice is way smarter than the commander. Oh, and you can't forget the most literal theme of all. Don't judge a book by its cover, or assume it's a sandwich. So let's wrap this up with a question right out of your textbook, and it's a good one. With all the electronic media we have today, are books being replaced? Could we just get rid of them completely? It's kind of funny, right? This whole play is about how one dusty old book of rhymes saved the world. So it really makes you think about the power that's packed inside a physical book. It's something to chew on, not just for your exam, but, in general. Anyway, that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and all the best with your prep.
Thank you for watching with us. See you next time.